This is Romo Dunze, and you're listening to the Ballsville Podcast.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it.
And now, the greatest co-host that the Ballsville game can afford, Sean.
Oh, you stopped it. Why'd you stop
How
it?
are you today? So, as you guys could tell, I am not Lutz for sale. He's not here with us today. He had planned on being here, but thanks to some crazy coincidence of having back-to-back hurricanes hitting Florida in almost the exact same place, he is now in jeopardy in his new home and is in the process of trying to get things squared away before everything hits tonight. So I got to send out some prayers to Scott and his fam and everybody who's out there in the path of this hurricane. I know a lot of you guys are still dealing with repercussions from last week, and now you got to deal with them again coming right back at you. So, stay safe out there, do the best you can, and, hopefully this doesn't cause as much damage as anticipated and things will go better than hoped. So I'm joined today by our good producer, Sarah. She's usually hiding behind the glass. She's not the type that likes to come out all the time and say hi to us, but we begged her. We said, Sarah, please, we need you on this podcast. You provide such great content for us that we really, really need you here. So Sarah did us a solid and decided to jump up and join our crew today. So how you doing, Sarah?
Thanks, I'm doing great. I came out just for you, Sean.
Awesome. I appreciate you so much. As well, we are also joined today by Connor. You guys might recognize him in his fresh new do from last night's pod with myself. How you doing, Connor?
Good. Just glad to be here.
Awesome. And last but certainly not least, everybody's favorite bald man, our El Presidente, Alex Hernandez.
Oh my gosh. Off the top rope. Sounded great. Thank you. I would argue that Scott is one of our favorite bald men, but thank you very much. Good to be here.
Right,
Shot to Scott.
Someday, and do some sort of a bald man challenge that we can come up with. that'll be a fun, maybe for a fundraiser or something, right?
Yeah, I love it.
Awesome, man. So let's move into some games this week, guys. I mean, let's just start off with a little bit of a, pour one out for kind of scenario. Pretty much anybody who you drafted in the first round, you can pretty much pour one out for them at this point, because we have basically gotten ripped across the board all throughout. I think maybe 2 or 3 survivors are still left on the battlefield at this point, but otherwise, you're most likely in the same boat as most of us on this panel right now with a first rounder who's not on the field. So you guys run into any of that this week too?
Yeah, especially with like Brees and Bijan. I mean, I think those are the two, guys that, especially after CMC went down, they were all like, yeah, we're good at running back, and then really hasn't played out that way.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Alex Sylvie had a pretty rough week. What did you go through this week, man?
Oh man. Well, after losing Pacheco and then losing Rashee Rice, who were like some of my highest exposure players, this week I lost my breath when I saw Nico exit the game and stay out with a hamstring injury, because that's what it was, right? Hamstring or knee, one of those.
Yeah, it was a hammy. He ran too fast on that 65-yard touchdown pass, I guess. Right past all my.
At least he had the decency to score, 15, 16 points, and then exit for the rest of the game. But I have a lot of Nico, so that's another big sigh. Just
that's
piling up.
It's a scary one. Sarah, I know you had a fun weekend, so I know football watching, on TV was not something you were able to do too much of this weekend. But how'd your fantasy players do?
Yeah, same situation. I actually do also have a lot of Pacheco and Rice. I feel like, how when you do a dynasty draft and like everybody's trading their first and second picks and getting all these 4 through 7 picks, like they're all winning right now. They're like stayed away from all of those top 2 rounds. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those years where the guys that usually get laughed at in the draft are getting the last laugh right now.
Right. It's
You
true.
know?
Stick
So
to your old men like Mike Evans, and Derrick Henry, and they're all gonna, just keep it real.
unless his name is Amari Cooper, then you're not doing so well.
Oh, poor Mari.
Which we cannot blame on poor Mari, but we'll get into those things here a little later, guys. Foreshadowing. Woo. So, all right, let's roll into a couple of games though, guys. Let's talk a little bit about. You talked about the knee, so why don't we roll on into my not so favorite game of the week? The Bills losing back-to-back games to the Texans, dropping the game 20-23. One of the things I really want to ask you guys, because as a Bills fan and a fantasy fan, this is like a double whammy for me. Is Josh worrying you guys at this point?
Yes, especially with this concussion news. I mean, it's kind of weird that he got hit so hard, stayed down. He looked like he was knocked out, and then there was no evaluation. They just threw him right back in there. That was frightening.
Yeah, I did not like that either. Connor, you don't agree though? You think he's
Yeah,
all right?
I don't think he's worrying me. I mean, he's still producing. I mean, he had a bad game and still had more fantasy points than Patrick Mahomes is like averaging. So, and that's the guy that went right after him. So I think he's still good. He still don't have his boom games. I think, especially if they get a Amari Cooper that we talked about, or anybody we talked about on last night's pod, on the D18 pod about the Bills trade targets at receiver, I think he'll be right back up there at QB1. I mean, he's still QB5 on the season. So,
yeah. Sarah, you got anything to chime in with?
I pretty much in the same boat as Connor here. He's according to like the news, Alan said that he was like, he was quickly evaluated and then, called back in and then he felt fine. But yeah, no, I think he's just so good. He's gonna have bad games like everybody else. And like Connor said, he's still scoring higher than some, QBs are supposed to be studs.
Yeah.
So coming up, he has the New York Jets in New York. He's got Tennessee, Seattle, Miami again, Indy, which is a good matchup, and then KC, and then the bye. So he's got a rough stretch in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that Miami game might be, Tua back for that game potentially, right? Isn't he eligible by that point?
week 8.
That's week 9.
Week 9. So yeah. Potentially. Not to say he will, but there's like the eligibility aspect is there by then, I guess. So yeah, I'm kind of with you guys. I'm kind of like right on the fence. I hate to be that guy who just doesn't want to pick a side. That juror who just like won't come up with an opinion. But at this point, like I'm kind of still on the fence. I have to say, because this game was such a hard game to evaluate with Khalil Shakir not being in the game. Josh was definitely coming into this game with a chip on his shoulder with the Diggs scenario, and it was all over his style of play from the moment he stepped on the field. So I could tell he kind of reverted back to that almost rookie style Josh Allen, who got a little too, trying to cover everything on his own and missing opportunities that were there. A lot of uncharacteristically missed passes just based on solely missed accuracy type throws that he hasn't had in a while. So
I think he got in his head.
But I am a little concerned about the quarterback one aspect. I was, especially after the first few weeks, man, I was ready to roll QB1, no problem. At least I got one of my, number one predictions right. But now I'm worried that I'm going to be, over in my predictions. So
we saw last week how essential Khalil Shakir was to the passing game, and without him, he's got no one else there getting it done. I mean, Sean, you and I both believed in Dalton Kincaid, and it looks like that chemistry is kind of taking a step back. They're not on the same page on a lot of these throws, and
I'm putting that mostly on Brady, on Joe Brady, on the offensive coordinator. They need to figure out a plan to make that kid work. He's talented and he's proven it a few times that he can get open. They got to make it work.
Yeah, he's been open a few times, and they just can't seem to get on the same page, and it's not working. And I don't know if you feel like there's going to be some kind of light that turns on and then everything just starts hitting for Josh, but it looks like he's kind of just taking a step back, for whatever that's worth.
Yeah, I think the last couple of weeks have definitely shown that, this offense came out, you got what, I think 9 weeks under their belt of Joe Brady running that offense after the last 5 weeks of the previous season. So I think defenses are figuring out, like, this is what I need to do to stop them. and they basically said, okay, we know what to do now. Now, what are you going to do to fix it? Because we've got you figured out. And this is where he needs to turn and say, okay, this is what I need to do. Showcase my tight ends more, figure out how I can make sure that scheme these guys open because I don't have great separators at the receiver position.
Maybe he should have. They should have picked up Juju.
Yeah, right. Or maybe just not traded away a pick and taken Worthy.
Yeah.
Do you guys think Coleman will step up a little bit?
I do because I like what I've seen from him, but I feel like he's a little more Mike Williams than than anything else. He's going to be that guy who's going to have to make contested catches regularly because he just doesn't have the ability to separate too much.
He's Quentin Johnson with hands.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say that because I don't think Quentin Johnston has the physical ability that Keon Coleman has. I think Keon Coleman's better.
QG was touted for his run after catch ability, wasn't he? Contested catch and wasn't really his thing, but the run after catch was his ability.
Yeah, they were very worried. I mean, after the draft, they were saying like he's making all these, great catches in camp, and then it really hasn't played out that way in real life football. There's been a lot of off the pad, with the pads off catches and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, hey, I mean, I can say that Keon Coleman has definitely shown us a lot more in his short amount of time than Quentin Johnston has. So I'm more confident in what he's got to bring than QJ at this point.
Yeah, but neither of them low, man.
Yeah, that's a low bar, right? Definitely a low bar.
It's crazy too because Keon Coleman's not necessarily having a bad rookie year, but when you put him up against, like Brian Thomas Jr. and Malik Neighbors are doing, it really, even Marv looks bad compared to what they got going on, and he's not having a bad rookie season either. It's just these other guys are coming out here and dominating, and it's kind of like talk about setting the bar. That's what's going on.
Yeah.
I think Keon will probably pan out to be a pretty decent receiver. It's just going to take a little time.
Yeah. Well, and you can tell, like, if you look at the pattern on the ones that have stepped up and really become like a superstar this early in their career, it's because they're on offenses that had nothing else. New York had nobody really other than Neighbors, so they just peppered him with targets like crazy. Brian Thomas, they lost. They brought in Gabe Davis, who, he's just a guy. He's not really going to be drawing any defenses or anything. They had Christian Kirk, who's kind of a similar boat. So Brian Thomas is by far the best. So
I don't know. Rome has produced with those other receivers quite a bit as well. He's had a couple. Yeah,
but that's because one of them's been out. Because Keenan was out for a good amount of time too, so he's not even really chemistry yet.
Yeah, he was still behind DJ Moore and stuff. So,
oh yeah, but he's not at that level yet with Neighbors. Neighbors and what Brian Thomas did this week, and I think what he'll continue to do in that offense moving forward. I think they're a tier above where he's at right now, fantasy wise.
Mm-hmm.
We got anything, Sarah? Anything to throw in on that? Any chime
about we just kind of rolled into this rookie wide receiver talk. I wasn't expecting, but I think Brian Thomas was for me unexpected that he would do this well so quickly. I think that he was going sometimes in the first round of rookie drafts in the earlier drafts and stuff, but I don't think anyone thought he would be that quick to jump in and just kind of take over Kirk, and just kind of it's kind of a happy surprise, though. I do have a bit of him, but I think, overall Ladd is also a little bit of a disappointing, rookie, but also, Justin can't stay healthy. So
early in the off season for us, when we were doing the mini leagues and the way too early best ball drafts, we were talking about these rookies before they were drafted in the NFL. And we had Brian Thomas up there as our number 4, I think, kind of between all of us. And after the draft came and went, I remember one league I picked him up in the start of the second round. He went behind Xavier Worthy and Ladd McConkey, and that's
too, right?
Yeah, I was picking Ladd over him if I had,
Jonathan Brooks. We don't know how that's going to pan out, but he was going well ahead of him, and hindsight.
Yeah, he's gonna have a lot of ground to make up for once he starts playing after what Brian Thomas has done so far.
Yeah. I think he should have been up in that first round.
Yeah. So moving into, let's go over a little bit on the injury situation with Nico again, because we talked about Nico and his scenario. It's sounding like about 2 to 3 weeks is what I'm hearing potentially for him. It's like a week-to-week thing. So he's definitely going to miss this week. And then, my thought is hamstring-wise, I sitting in their position in their division, I'd probably sit them at minimum of 2 weeks myself if I was in their boat. But that's kind of where I sit with it. Do you guys think that he's going to miss at least 2 weeks? And if so, do you think it's going to be either Diggs or Dell who's going to benefit the most? Go ahead, Sarah. I want to see what you got to say. You got that look.
I don't have a ton of Nico because I just wasn't sure with such a crowded backfield that he was going to be in. But of course, now he's like his favorite target. But I feel like Dell and Diggs are probably going to split it, because I think he's definitely building a connection with Diggs. And to have both of them plus Schultz, just kind of like out there for him, like he just has so many targets. It could be split around, quite a bit.
What about you,
like there's no promise.
Yeah, right. What do you think, Connor? I know were you a truther for Dell early in the season? Was that you, or am I mixing you up with JoJo?
I picked him a couple places. I thought he was going lower than he should have been, but the truther was JoJo. He was the one that was big on Tank Dell being the wide receiver one. I think he's still on that boat. I think it's probably going to go more so to Diggs. I mean, he's targeted Diggs a lot, especially in the red zone, more so than Dell. I think Dell will definitely get some more work that he wasn't getting. But even in Xavier Hutchinson, when he came in for Nico, looked pretty good in that role. So I think that's going to be a good pickup as well for at least these couple of weeks.
Yeah, and our good buddy Jimmy Wojo just chimed in with a good question here about Mixon, which is something I didn't have planned to talk about on there, but it is something we should talk about because I definitely think that, this situation with Mixon right now, I thought it was just going to be like a 1 week maybe thing and then like he'd be just fine. Now, I mean, we're looking at week 2 and there's still not any clarity about what's going to happen moving forward. So do you guys think that this is something that's going to be a big issue? Because their offense definitely is running differently without him.
Well,
I don't know about
calling him day to day to start with.
What's that?
Weren't they calling him day to day too when he first got
I
the
think
injury?
so, right?
Day to day and turned week to week and all that, and now it's been quite a few weeks.
And they must really like to do that down there in Houston, huh? Messing with everybody with that day to day week.
When you have Cam Akers, it's easy to leave these guys out, right?
You're hoping it's
God.
day to day when Cam Akers is back there.
Hey, how many of you guys had to start Cam just due to like either bye week or injuries?
I had to start Cam and the third string guy in one league. Yeah.
Good.
I had to start them both. I had to start them both in our pod league, and I ended up having the highest score this week.
Oh my God!
Every time I hear his name, I just think of that Wemo Way song. Yeah, exactly. Oh man, but yeah, definitely. Honestly, I think between the two, I'm going with a Wemo Way all day over Akers. I mean, he seems like he's the better back in my opinion.
Definitely. I had so much Kareem Hunt.
He's got a new nickname for him too. I think.
Yeah, Hunt really performed for everybody this week for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, Xavier Hutchinson too potentially. There's some guys that'll step up, I think too. But I'm on the Diggs train at this point. The way that Diggs is like kind of forcing his veteran role. Like, hey, look, man, you lost your main boy. I'm gonna be open. Just start throwing me the ball.
Well, let me ask you this. So we saw all the leagues draft, right? So we saw a lot of people that were drafting Tank Dow, and they were preaching Tank Dow, like Tank Dow will be the one. So Tank Dow is about to get the opportunity. There's going to be tons of targets coming his way. What happens if he doesn't perform? Where do you think he gets drafted next year? How bad do you think his value drops?
Like if he doesn't perform well through the whole season or just like kind of mediocre?
These next couple of weeks, these are going to be crucial for his value because if he can step up and have a couple big games and, all the truthers are going to come out and they're still going to hold him in that esteem. But if he doesn't deliver, I don't know where he goes next year. I don't know where he's drafted.
Yeah, I'm with you, man, because he's not a prototypical like receiver. He's like 5'7", I think, or something, and weighs like $160. Like he's a tiny dude. He had like kind of an out of nowhere rookie season that kind of like wasn't anticipated. Like they thought it could be good, but nobody really thought it was going to be what it was. So he's that prime player that you can easily just like fall off and be just like nobody after this season, after that rookie season, and maybe not like complete nobody, but like nobody as far as like really wanting to be a target you would target in fantasy football.
I would say he's probably like, if he has a bad year this year, he's probably going to go around like the Romeo Dobbs range where he went this year. You know, that crowded room they have in Green Bay. And he, before the season, Dobbs was like their third option, supposedly. So I assume if Dell has that type of year that you're talking about, a bad year, that he'll probably go around there.
I feel like Dobbs is a perfect comparison to what to what could happen.
Yeah, 100%.
It's alarming too, because like you mentioned, he's a smaller receiver, and we saw this transition where the NFL was claiming like these smaller receivers are getting run and this and that, and then we saw he broke his leg, blocking the goal line of all things, and then what's going on with Devontae Smith now? We saw him get picked up and slammed, being another slight receiver, and now he's been out with a concussion. And I don't know, man. These smaller receivers, I mean, can they really hold up? I think that's a bigger debate.
Yeah, no, 100%, man. Especially the ones that kind of just like, some people have a way of being able to kind of avoid a lot of massive, like contact. Like I would say Tyreek Hill is a player like that. He's a slight smaller guy. He's a thicker build for sure than those guys, but he's the type of player that is slippery enough to where he never really takes like a really hard hit, at least for the most part. Every now and then he does, but he's good at avoiding them.
Yeah.
And it kind of brings up the issue of like, if it's a small player with tons of talent, but they like, are they considered a good player because other guys are trying to hit harder than they actually need to, just because they can? You know what I mean? This idea of like, are we going from skill to just like, hey, I'm ready to beat this guy up.
Yeah, it happened with Devon Achane this week, right? You got hit too.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Yeah.
That was killer.
Yeah, Achane went down too. I mean, that's going to be, Jalen Wright time, I think, now. And then Mostert, I believe, is back also. So they'll probably go back to that back style that they ran last year when Achane was a rookie. So, that's definitely something I anticipate there. And I just don't think it'll be as successful because they don't have anybody at quarterback right now.
Yep.
So we'll see how it all plays out.
Right. So I hope you're right.
I think Achane will be back after the bye week, because they're on bye this week, and it's just.
Yeah, you think so? Just a week off?
Yeah, I mean, it was just a concussion, right? So,
yeah.
Oh, that's it? Just a concussion? Yeah.
Just concussions. Usually it's 2 weeks with a concussion, but if he's back, I'll be happy. I got a ton of them.
We'll see, because Jalen Wright finally showed something. He's had opportunity with Mostert out for the last couple of weeks, and I have a lot of shares, and I was watching him closely, and he wasn't really getting it done, but they kept on giving him the same kind of toss into the intermediate area on both sides, and the O-line wasn't holding up. So it was nice to see him actually get some good play this week and perform.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go ahead and move into a little bit of a Jaden Daniels discussion, because he's been one of my favorite players to watch this year so far. If you guys are unaware, the Commanders had another, dominant victory this week, beating up on the Brownies, 34-13 final score. So I have to ask you guys, because they have a battle next week against the Ravens. Is Jaden considered a must start no matter the opponent?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think he's maybe, in the conversation for MVP right now alone, just for the past 3 weeks that he's had. So, I mean, if he continues the way he's looked, he's going to be one of the most valuable dynasty, one of the most valuable redraft assets in all of fantasy. So.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. There's very few quarterbacks I would start over him, as like obviously with Superflex you get 2 choices, but yeah, there's very few quarterbacks that I wouldn't start him over.
So right now, this is a good question for you guys, because this is the second quarterback that we've talked about like this. Josh Allen against the Jets, Jaden against the Ravens. Who you playing? You can only play one.
Oh, you can only play one?
Only play one. You have to choose between the two.
Still got to go with Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen's still the 101, but Jaden, it's making it closer than it probably, should be.
That'd be a shitty option.
I would say
it's tough though, right? Like, do you sit Josh Allen for a rookie quarterback in his 6th game in the NFL? Like that's a tough.
Yeah, the NFL ebbs and flows, and you have to ride the waves. You hear it all the time. The analogy of going down with a sinking ship. That's what it is. If you're not riding the waves, you're going to sink. while your team sinks. That's why you make.
Well, but you also have that idea, because I would think about it for sure. I wouldn't be like an instant Josh Allen, but like you also got to think, Josh has had, a couple bad games. He's due for a good one. Jaden's had these amazing games. He might be due for, a kind of reality check. So it's
I
kind of
agree
like
with that too. That kind of flowy, wavy momentum, I 100% believe in. It was why I was concerned about the Bills going into the Ravens game last week, actually. So I 100% believe in that type of like ebb and flow of the NFL going week to week like that. So that's a great point to make there too, Sarah, for sure. I can give you guys a good example. I sat CJ Stroud last week for Jaden Daniels in a very similar type scenario, and it cost me my victory this week. So, that's a tough one. That's a tough pill to swallow. And I have to say that the final decision was because I didn't want to watch him slice up my defense. So I didn't want to unfortunately, it happened, but
I think Jaden Daniels and CJ Stroud are pretty close right now in redraft value. I still think Josh Allen's still a little bit ahead of him, but I think if we redrafted right now, Jaden Daniels would probably be at the end of the first round, if not, higher than that. So,
you think he's going over a guy like Patrick Mahomes right now?
Redraft, even in Dynasty right now, he might be ahead of
Mahomes.
Patrick
That's what I mean in Dynasty. That's what I mean in Dynasty right now. Do you think
keep Trade Cut? Is like everybody puts in their thing. Jaden Daniels is player 3 in that, so all the way up to not just QB 3. He's in 3 overall. So.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
After last week in our scoring format, Jaden Daniels is quarterback 4. Josh Allen is quarterback 5. He's 12 points behind him, and CJ Stroud, who we're talking about, also is quarterback 11. He's sitting at 96 points. Josh Allen's at 109 and Jaden Daniels is at 121.
Wow. So and who's the top quarterback right now? Who's at 1 right now? And how
Lamar Jackson is dominating the field at 142 points. Number 3 was his opponent from last week. They both, burned the barns, 124. And right in the middle of them is Baker Mayfield at 131, who I also have a lot of, thank God.
Isn't that funny? Like that's a crazy to think that that's the top 5 list for the Ballsville scoring. If we'd have said that, hey, this is going to be the top 5 list week 5 in the NFL, and we'd have recorded that 4 months ago, we would have got laughed at. We would have been laughed right off the pod.
The top 5 running backs on the season are they're not going to open your eyes, but if you go and you sort and look at the top 5 running backs from last week, don't feel bad if you lost, because it was nuts.
Yeah, if you ran into somebody who had one of those guys in their lineup, it's probably because they had to deal with bye week situations, and they went into that week being freaked out, thinking that they were screwed, until all of a sudden here comes Tank rumbling down the field for 60-yard touchdown or whatever it was.
You lost to Tank Bigsby. You lost to Kareem Hunt from the grave. Nobody wanted him, and he's
Roshan Johnson.
Wait, but let's give Alex a minute though to toot his own horn on Kareem Hunt, because he literally called me at 10 o'clock at night, like, dude, we need to do a special episode right now. This is huge news. And I was like, I don't know, man, I'm kind of tired,
I'll take the minute, because it's the more important fact was that in the Ballsville games, our rosters and our benches are so deep that you never get an opportunity like that. So there you had Kareem Hunt sitting at the end of the week, and he was unassigned to any team. And as soon as I saw that the Chiefs were calling him in to come meet, I was like, they're going to sign him. 2019 was a phenomenal year for Kareem Hunt. It's the team that drafted him, and the reason they got rid of him was because of off-the-field stuff, right? So it's a hand-in-glove fit, and it was like a free space, because if you had any kind of roster opening, you could literally walk into your league, because we have open free agency on Sundays and Mondays, so you can just go to your league that very moment, like some of us did. I know you got a share of them, Sean, because I went to go get them and you had picked them up. I got a free share. JoJo got a free share, and it was just, you never get an opportunity in our deep bench leagues to go and pick somebody up off the waiver wire right now that's gonna have even the slightest chance to perform like he did, and then just to watch. I mean, we all got lucky, right? But to watch him perform after having such conviction, Yeah, I'll take it, even if it is for a week
Right.
or two. You know.
And the thing
So
is
thank
with him, you're talking back to a few weeks, I believe. Or week
Oh,
9.
you're choppy, dude.
I'm thinking week 9 is the earliest that Pacheco is supposed to be back, correct? So, you got at least until then. You got Hunt. And then my opinion on Hunt right now is he is the prime guy to trade away to a guy who's missing McCaffrey, who's missing Pacheco, or, something like that. And they need somebody to cover the next 5-6 weeks to help their team. If you got Kareem Hunt on a really deep running back room, dude, that is your guy. You trade him away, you can snag a solid receiver right now for him and move forward and build depth at a different position, or even like a really good tight end that might be slightly underperforming right now, Laporta, or something like that. Like, you could do some stuff like that right now with him.
Yeah, definitely. And it's not going to last forever, obviously, but he's fresh.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you get, like 29 touches?
I think so, a lot, because they were basically in that like run the clock mode for 3/4 of that game too. So, they were leaning on him, and with him and Kelsey, I think are just going to be studs now for the rest of the season. I mean, at least for Pacheco's, until Pacheco's back as far as Hunt's concerned. But Kelsey, in my opinion, is right back in that TE1 mix.
Are we going to let Juju fool us too?
I like Juju taking about 5 targets a game that Rice used to get, where he just runs slam right across the middle of Patrick's face, and Patrick just tosses him like a 6-yard bullet. I think he'll get probably 3 to 5 of those a game.
But
And
Juju won't take it all the way down to the end zone like Rice does.
If he could, he won't take it all the way to the end zone. He'll get caught at like the 15-yard line most of the time, but you'll get the 60 yards or 50 yards or whatever out of him.
I don't even expect that much from him personally. Like, I'll keep him on my bench just in case he heats up, but I don't think he'll be worth playing unless you're desperate.
No, but who's not desperate right now in today's max NFL?
Good point.
So speaking of desperate in the NFL, let's talk about the Browns.
Boy.
So I got to ask you guys, in all honesty, do you think that there is anybody on the Browns offense that you even want to put in your starting lineup as long as Deshaun Watson is still in the quarterback position?
I think you still have to play Cooper because he's so talented, I believe. It's just not the situation you hope for preseason. Everybody was wanting, Watson from the Texans back, and that's just not happening. But I still think you have to play. If you don't have a alternative like that you're willing to play, I still think you have to play Cooper.
Yeah, I think he left.
That's about it, though.
Parlor. So yeah, that's for sure. Sarah, what do you think? Do you think you played like an Njoku at all, or do you think they're all just pretty much wait and see?
I would, yeah. I mean, if I've got, if I'm looking at something with deep flex spots, I might still throw Njoku in there. I'm like Connor, I'm definitely going to play Amari still just because he's got enough upside and he's had a couple good games, maybe one. But Njoku, I will play if he's like my best flex option, and that's like, I'm going to play Njoku before I'm going to play Juju, like for just as an example, because we were just talking about him. But yeah, I feel like if I don't need to, then yeah, I'm not playing anyone other than Cooper.
Cooper still is like 4th in targets as well. So it's like like he's not getting a lot of looks. He's just not getting the ball placed where it needs to be.
Hard for me. It's hard for me with targets sometimes too, because as much as I like looking at targets, I try to look at them as more of a like, are they consistently weekly targets? Because it's so hard when you have a quarterback like Deshaun Watson who can't hit the broadside of a barn at this point with football. So, like how, if you've got 9 targets and only one of them was within 3 feet of you, then it's hard to call that valuable, So that's
the Browns are sad.
But I do like a consistent double-digit targets. That's something that you need to see out of a top receiver in order to maintain a scoring floor that you're happy with. So, yeah, and Alex, I want to ask you before we move on from the Brownies. Are you at all interested in Nick Chubb coming back to this team the way they're looking right now?
That's a perfect question because you guys are right about Cooper and Njoku. He's got to show you something. But Jerome Ford has been serviceable. He's had good yards per carry. He was over 5, looks like 9 for 47 this year or this week. And then they throw in Deontay Foreman to come and muddy the waters just to make, both running backs, unplayable. And now you're going to have Chubb coming back. He's going to get the touches. He's probably going to look sluggish at first and then pick it up, but they're not going to come give him the workload, so you can't start Chubb, and they're still going to play both of these other running backs, and it's just going to get so messy that I doubt that any team's going to be able to wait to start one. And if you are starting one, you're not going to get the payoff, and it's just going to be a quick way to rack up those losses, man. I think it's abandon all running backs in Cleveland.
Yeah, don't risk the injury again.
Yeah. And I'm almost like, and I wouldn't hate it if you're in an abandon all Cleveland mode and you want to ship away Cooper while you still can get something for him. I wouldn't hate you for doing that at all, because, I have no faith that things are going to turn around unless they make a quarterback change. And I don't think they're going to do that with how much they invested in him. So it's unfortunate for Brownie fans. What's that?
Quarterback or coach? You see Trevor's question? Who gets fired?
Yeah, who's going to get fired first? Browns coach. I don't think the Browns coach is going to get fired over this, because I don't think the Browns coach was the main decision maker on it. I think it's the owners basically doing it. Now, if he fires the Browns coach, it won't be till after the season, though. The one I'm thinking who's going to get canned first, in my honest opinion, it's neither of those guys. It's Peterson in Jacksonville. Even though he got through the win this week, I don't think that he's going to let them continue forward if they don't go on some sort of a win streak. So that's the one that I think is really on the hottest seat right now. You guys got a different one?
No,
it's tough.
Not really.
Yeah, I don't know if any coaches get fired. But...
Yeah, solid. We didn't even talk about that yet. I'm so glad you brought that up, because, I always love to say anything bad about the Jets that I can. Robert Saleh fired 5 days before they play the Bills. Can you believe it? What is going on in New York City? They must have been
Aaron Rodgers
or something.
It's an Aaron Rodgers thing. It has to be.
It's got to be, right? But my thing is, how do you fire a guy who's obviously, I think, a good coach? I think he's been in a really bad situation, but I don't think his coaching has been the problem there. And you're going to fire him over a 40-year-old quarterback that is going to be gone next season, probably, or the season after at the latest.
This isn't Saleh's first year, though. I mean, he's been losing for 3 years. I mean, it's his job to win games, and they, I was talking to JoJo earlier, and even though it might be over a 40-year-old quarterback, the responsibility to win games falls back on the head coach, and so they decided to make that move. I don't blame him for him. He's been there 3 years and has a 10-36 record or something like that. So
yeah, well, he did have to deal with their other mistake of Zach Wilson, which I don't believe that was his choice either. So I think
at the end of the day, you got to win games. You can't have all these excuses. My quarterback's not good. Oh, then you get Aaron, and then it's the offensive coordinator, and then you're like, oh, well, then what's it going to be if we get every guy correct? You have to
at some point you got to make a change. You got to make a change no matter what at some point, because you just need a new scenery sometimes. Just things are never going to work. So
was Saleh there with when Sam Darnold was playing for the Jets?
I don't believe so. I think he came on just after they drafted Wilson. Wasn't it?
I think he was on the staff. He was the head coach when they drafted Wilson, but
was that his first year, when they had just hired him and during that offseason?
I believe so.
Okay, yeah. And the one thing about the Jets, man, is that they do have one of the most meddlesome owners in football. So, I would say 90% of the decision making is done by him.
Yeah, this is the first time in this guy's ownership that they fired an in-season coach, though. Head coach. Isn't
this just the son, though? Isn't this just Woody Johnson's son, or is this still Woody Johnson running?
I think it's still Woody Johnson, but it's in his time. I don't know. I saw this stat online or whatever. That is first time in his ownership that he's fired a head coach in season. So,
have you guys seen that video? It was a couple weeks ago when the Jets won, and Aaron Rodgers comes up to Saleh, and Saleh goes to go give him a hug, and Rodgers just pushes him away and dead serious look in his eye, you didn't do that. I bet he told them
that's cold.
Yeah, that's crazy. And that's funny to me too, because I honestly, if I put Robert Saleh and Aaron Rodgers in a ring, I'm picking Robert Saleh all day. I think Robert Saleh drop Rodgers in a heartbeat if he wanted to, man. Like that dude does not look like he is scared to fight.
There has been some Jets players that have like posted about Saleh's getting fired, and it's like Malachi Beckham. He was their lineman. I can't think of it. I don't know.
Yeah, Beckham. Yeah,
exactly. He's posted, the funeral meme of like, that stuff. And I don't think there's a lot of players that have had a lot of nice things to say about Saleh. So it might have been more than just Rodgers too. It might have been like a lot of the players, because he was escorted out by security without even being able to meet the players after getting fired.
Mm-hmm.
So it might have been something bigger than what we're saying.
Yeah, maybe he reached over the table and gave Woody Johnson the old backhand or something,
And pick up that DC job for the 49ers. That'd be fine.
Dude, I would not be shocked at all if he does not jump right back over to the Niners after the way that they got beat by the Cardinals. I could totally see that. I could totally see it.
Dude. It's like they don't have a game plan for the fourth quarter. It's nuts.
Right? And you know what? That is an awesome time to transition right on into Sarah's game, the Cardinals and Niners. So you know, we actually had a pod member in attendance at this game, and it was our good producer, Sarah. Sarah, how was the experience?
Overall, like pretty miserable. Not only was it 100 degrees the whole time and our seats were in the sun for the entire game, but we had these great seats like down near 50-yard line in like the bottom section, and it was just torturous. But a lot of people around here in the Bay Area, I don't know if you noticed this, Alex, they're talking about Shanahan. They're not impressed. He never has a plan for the second half of the game. They are all, all my people here are all saying, we go in strong. Purdy's amazing. He can throw to anybody, he's doing great. And then the second half comes around, he makes no adjustments. The other team makes adjustments, and then they kill us at the end. So it's like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if you've heard the same thing.
But I mean, if you watch the Niners closely, I mean, there's been a long tenure. That's why people stay away from 49ers players in fantasy, because it seems like every week there's a game plan revolving around one player. And
I always wonder. Well, right. And I always wonder, is it just because that player ended up being open and Purdy was able to see that? And like maybe the plan, may have been changed somewhere? Or is it just like, okay, Ayuk, your turn this today, and all of a sudden, like we were talking about the Ayuk awakening, this last game was, beautiful and everybody was happy about it. And Debo saw like the ball twice or something, you know what I mean? And
I wonder if we could go back and look at statistically, like, on paper, what matchups are most favorable, and if that's how they design their game plan to try to beat the most favorable matchup.
I almost guarantee you that's exactly what it is. Like if you go and look, like tight ends always beat up on this style of defense. Those are the games that Kittle has a big game. And
like you say, Sarah, like defensive coordinators are coming out second half and adjusting to the 49ers game plan, and that they stop putting up points. And at the same time, Shanahan's not adjusting to what the other team's doing, just kind of cruising, and that's how the game gets away from us. It's
absolutely.
Yeah, I think I think like you hit the nail on the head there. I think that's what Shanahan has been doing, and I think that teams are figured that out now. And so they'll go into games knowing that first half is going to be a bitch. But if they can figure out who they're targeting and why they're targeting them and change their defense accordingly, they're not prepared to have another guy ready to roll with a game plan that they pre-planned to have an adjustment for. It's what it seems like anyway. So if that's what's happening and Shanahan's not going into practice during the week and saying, hey, first half, we're targeting you, Brandon. This is your game. You're going out there like crazy. And if they stop you in the beginning of the second half a few times, we're going to swap over to Debo. We're going to have that Debo plan. Or you just have like, hey, they switch to this on defense. I switch to the Kittle. They switch to this. I switch and you have it set up that way, a pre-planned system in place to cover those scenarios. Like that's it's like that's what he's falling off right now.
Let me ask Connor. Connor, you're good at this stuff. If you have, are you buying or selling CMC, and are you buying or selling Jordan Mason? What kind of trend do you think is gonna pan out there with those running backs?
Depends on what you're getting. I think I'm holding CMC. If you have him, you're not selling him for what he's going for right now because he's not very expensive. But if you, I wouldn't try to buy him either because you're still worried about if he's going to even come back this season with some of the news about his Achilles tendonitis and both Achilles, which is never a good sign. And then Jordan Mason, I'll be trying to buy low because I think he's had a couple of weeks like back to back that have not been very high, and then some owners are worried that CMC might come back early. But I think you're holding both and trying not to buy either of them until one of their values either gets lower or higher. So,
would you take James Cook in a first for McCaffrey?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad move, especially if you're in a competitive situation still.
Well, it's weird on both ends because if you're a competitor and you're buying McCaffrey, you're kind of hoping that he comes back and performs at what he was. And if Jordan Mason is
oh, you meant buying McCaffrey? I thought you meant selling McCaffrey. If you're the contender and you're selling McCaffrey for Connor in a first, then I'm
that's also what I thought.
Well, that's what I did. I sold him for the first and James Cook, but McCaffrey he's in purgatory right now because you don't want him if you're a contender and he's too old to be enticing for a rebuilder. I think you just gotta hold, like Connor said, you just have to hold him.
Yep. I agree. It doesn't matter what situation you're in, you're panicked with him. If you're trying to compete and, he was your, first running back taken off, especially in dynasty startups, and you're leaning on him and you waited and took like a Zamir White or Chase Brown or somebody like that later on as your second running back, then you're kind of worried because you're probably losing games. I know one of my buddies, John Leds, he's in, I believe, one of our dynasties. He's in 8 out of 16. I don't know which dragon that is, but he had a team on paper that should have ran the board. And I think Sean is in this situation in our pod lead as well, that, on paper before the season, they have these, Tyreek Hills, CMCs, Patrick Mahomes, guys like that all on the roster, and they just haven't produced, especially CMC with him being out injured is just, very scary, as a contender, because you don't know if you can't sell them to a rebuilder, like you said, Alex. And then
the last leg was last season.
Yeah.
Oh man. So yeah, that's definitely been brutal in that league, man. I've been holding my own a little bit, like just getting lucky with some close matchups here and there. So I'm not in terrible shape yet, but there's no sun on the horizon or anything. You know what I mean? I don't have like a Pacheco who's supposed to be back in a few weeks and stuff like that. My guys.
You just gotta own Cam Akers and Dare, Alawahu or whatever his name is, like me. Okay, if you own Cam Akers and Dare Alawahu, you'll score the most points every week.
No, you mean Dario Wimoe?
Yeah, exactly.
That's Daria Gubawale for anybody listening.
Yeah.
A quick thing that I didn't actually realize, that for whatever reason that Spencer Rattler might start, and Derek Carr's not gonna.
I would much prefer that to the alternative.
Yeah, I'd love to see Rattler try and
hello, whoop whoop.
There you go. Awesome.
We produced Derek Carr and Devontae Adams.
And on the card side, you guys, I know that they had a big game and everything, but they really didn't do a whole lot of Marvin Harrison in this big game. Do you think that's scary for you at all, or do you think it's just the one-off for Marvin and he'll still have his targets pretty consistently?
Yeah. But being at the game and watching Mike Wilson get as many targets as he did, I was pretty surprised. But I feel like it might have been the same kind of idea. Like that was who they could get open, so they kind of game planned that. For San Francisco's defense, I wouldn't be worried about Marvin personally.
My biggest worry is the game plan of running the ball on first and second down every single drive. And it doesn't matter whether they're successful or not. That was their game plan. If they're successful, they scored a touchdown. If they weren't, then they punted. And they were just okay with that the whole game. And that's what watching the game pissed me off as a fan of anybody besides James Conner. So
Yeah, that is frustrating when that type of scenario comes to play, and you're like, dude, are you going to do this again?
Yeah.
You're gonna do it again. You just got stuffed for 1 yard. You're gonna do it again. Now you're sitting at 3rd and 9. Come on.
And then they throw the ball, and it's either incomplete, or Marvin Harrison makes a great catch, or Michael Wilson pops open, or Trey McBride's, down the field. But every drive, it would start with a 1st and 10 run, a 2nd and 10 run, or a 2nd and 8 run, or whatever. And like I said, if it was successful, then they scored, and it was perfectly fine. And if it wasn't, they were just okay with punting it.
Yeah,
and their games have gone by.
Win, right?
Yeah, it worked. But it just sucks for fantasy owners. We're speaking fantasy.
Yeah.
But
I feel like their defense stepped up, and it kind of put a damper on their whole offense too.
Yeah. Like they probably felt like they didn't need to be that crazy team because their defense is playing so well.
Well, they have quite a few skill players. They could beat you different ways and stuff. You saw what Murray did with his legs. That's how his fantasy produced. So if they don't need the rookie, they simply don't need him. San Francisco is supposed to be formidable, but if they encounter easier opposition, then who's to say that they just rely on Connor, or whoever else is back there?
Yeah, exactly.
And their games have gone by.
What's that?
Their games, like if you're watching them all at the same time on YouTube, it's just like they're sitting in the 3rd quarter with 5 minutes left, and then the other team's just starting out in halftime because they run the ball so much.
For real.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. So that's good. Is there any other thing before we move on from the games, guys? Is there anything that you guys want to talk about? Any kind of just like little hot topic you want to talk about before we get into Ballsville stuff?
One of the questions. What is that?
Tyrone Tracy. How about that?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's a spicy one right there.
Hopefully he takes that backfield. Hopefully he takes that backfield from
from Singletary. I think he will. He shows flashes that Singletary doesn't have, and Singletary is just fine to take that 3rd down role and pass protector role and just be that guy. So I do honestly think that Tyrone will be their back, like their actual not bell cow, but like their 1A back.
Yeah, I feel like he's gonna by the end of the season he will be. I don't know if they want to rush him in and risk like an injury to a young player, because Singletary, when he comes back, he's solid enough, but they'll probably be splitting 50-50.
And believe it or not, the Giants are not out of their division at this point, so they're not throwing them out.
They're out of their division. Let's stop that right now.
Danny Dimes is going to take them all the way to a division title and then force them to pay him another $80 million for 2 years.
You guys, Scott's not here, but I got to say.
He sucks at football.
There you go.
We have his spirit here.
That's awesome.
There was a question on the Discord earlier, I think from Z-Dubs. What are we doing with Breece Hall and Bijan in Dynasty?
Man, well, in Dynasty, I'd probably hanging on to Breece. Bijan, I'd be more inclined to trade away probably just because Breece has shown it. Bijan hasn't yet, and I want to get value for him if it doesn't ever come to fruition.
I would say, in my opinion, it's a little bit of the opposite from me because Allen is there, and Allen is going to be there because they just drafted him. With Bijan, it's Algier, and Algier has been there, but I don't see him being there long term, like after this year, maybe another year after that.
I think this is his last year of his rookie season, too, right?
Yeah, exactly. And they can sign him, I don't know, 5th year option. I don't know all the contract rules with rookies or whatever.
I don't think they have a 5th year because he wasn't a 1st round pick, so they don't have that option.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and so after this year, I think his value is, a little bit higher because of that. But Braylon Allen will still be there with the Jets and still getting those carries. So.
Not to mention that if we're looking at what that Atlanta offense is going to look like, there's going to be a lot more scoring opportunities for Bijan. And we see how the Jets are struggling and Aaron Rodgers. The veterans are supposed to start the season off, more prepared than the younger players. And if this is what we're going to get out of Aaron Rodgers all season long and it's going to decline, then that could be rough for Breece.
Although Aaron did miss last year, so I want to give him – he missed all of last year, so he's not really coming – and he didn't have a full camp. He was still, his calves were – especially after the Achilles injury, his calf is not as strong, and he had to build that back up. So
a really good thing that he went to Europe during training camp.
He's going to lose that State Farm endorsement too because they got to hand it over to Malik Neighbors, right?
I thought they already did. I'm pretty sure they already did.
Yeah, like a good neighbors.
Yeah, that's good. I just seen that too.
I saw that on a meme when I make that.
Right? Yeah. If you send it to them, then it's in like there's a timestamp from the U.S. Postal Service so that they can't steal your idea. You know.
No, that was someone else's. I can't take credit for it. I just
What did they call that back in the day? A poor man's patent or something like that? You mail somebody something like that? Oh, that's so funny. All right, so let's move into some Ballsville talk, huh? What do you guys think about that? We're going to pull up a share screen here for you guys. We're going to go over some of our Ballsville scoring, and we're going to pull it right off of theballsvillegame.com, our one and only hub for all Ballsville. Everything you need is on that site. You have to check it out. If you haven't already been there, you are seriously missing out. It is like almost as awesome as a newborn baby. Like you just got to go on there. You got to like play with it. You just got to sit there and give it little coochies and have your fun. It's amazing. So Alex is going to pull that up for us here, guys. We're going to go ahead and go through some scores for you. And Alex, when you are ready, my friend, the floor is yours.
Okay, so we had technical difficulties to start off. It shows that I'm sharing. There it is. Okay, is that me sharing?
Yes, sir, it is.
Got it.
With that beautiful Ballsville logo.
Yeah, so this is the Ballsville site, guys. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out. It's got everything you kind of need. If you're in any of our games, you're in the hubs. And the design of this site is to replace those hubs by giving you all the information that's in those hubs in one conjoined platform. So you can go check out your league, your games, by their own window. This is game number 5, the triathlon. We'll update you on that later on in the season. You got JoJo and Scott updating these tools every week to get you the best chances to win money on DFS and help set your lineups.
Which has also won money for some of our members. Let's make sure we point that out. There have been some winners already utilizing those tools.
Well, if you go look at the articles that these guys are producing, they're pretty well formed and in depth. But tonight we're going to go into scoreboards here. This is our main attraction. This is what we updated. We've had 5 weeks of fantasy football, and so now we're going to start hitting accolades, little milestones. So we're going to hit a 5-week update that's already on the website. You can go check out your leagues. We're going to do this again in week 10. And then we're going to go live and we're going to do this for championship weeks. That's week 14 to 15 if you're in the mini leagues, and week 15 if you're in any of the other games. So we're just going to browse through these. We're going to go game number 1, the Dragons of Dynasty. So this is 16 dynasty leagues. They're hard to get into because there's such a high demand for them. It's a regular season, 16 playoffs. But if you're part of the final 2, if you make it into the championship game, you get awarded a $50 token. And at that point, you can decide whether or not you want to keep that $50 or you want to put it in to the pot. So we have 16, 32 possible $50 tokens. So that's $1,600 that's possible in wagers. Plus we have another, I think it's like $650 in wagering bonuses and game bonuses for the highest scorers in week 16. So the payout here, I think, is up at like 4,800 or something. But there's a lot of money to be had. And then there's also the Empire element. Out of the 16 leagues, if you place top 3 for 2 years in a row, if you place on the pedestal, just top 3, that's all you got to do. That's going to reset your league, and you claim $225 in future dues from your league, and then that they buy in again and they reset that league individually. Has no impact on the rest of the leagues. So a lot of money upside here. We're going to start with Sean, and we're going to let Sean go through leagues 1 through 4, and we're just going to kind of follow along with them so you can see the scoreboards.
Awesome. And I want everybody out there to know that the reason that Alex is having each of us take our turns is because he wants to hear us try to go ahead and pronounce all of these cool dragon words. So I'll get this started off here with Shenron, which I got a little easy one to start with. Shenron. I think I said that one right. So in the Shenron League, we had our top 3 guys right now. We got Play Action Jacksons. He's sitting at 833 total points. Jerry B, 83. Sitting at 780. Team Live Mech, I believe is how you would want to say that. He's sitting at 750, 934. And then shortly behind them, they are actually sitting at 5-0, the top two guys as well in this leagues. And the third and fourth place are tied along with fifth and sixth, all at 3-2, guys. So this is actually a pretty close race there for the third place bronze medal. So those other three teams are Team Jake T. Nels sitting in the fourth place, Team Pits and Giggles sitting in the fifth place. That's a funny name. Team Plus Ultra One sitting in the sixth place. Pits and Giggles, I hope you stay up there because I want to say that name again. That's awesome. Lead number 2, which I believe is pronounced Alduin. Is that right? Alduin.
It's
like
Alduin. It's from Skyrim. Love it.
So the first place team in that sitting at 5-0 is NACIT. I don't know how to say that other than that. The points for them are 768. So they're sitting up there at first place. Right behind them is Braden 0024. Thank you for making that easy on me. They're sitting at 4-1 with 736. Third place is Jonathan WH, which actually been called that before. That's hilarious. 715 is their total score with a 4-1 record. Fourth, fifth, and sixth are all tied at 3-2. You got Harris, Seth, and Jigbas in Paris. Burrows before Hose. That's hilarious. And they're all sitting between 769 and 706 on their final scores. And this is all for week 5, guys. So moving through this, it's going to get better and better as we move along. The next one, I do recognize this one. This is the dragon from the Lord of the Rings, Smaug, right here. This guy likes gold and does not like dwarfs. So this league, you got first place team, you got Bumble Bay Tunas. Bumble Bay Tuna? Bumble Bay Tuna. Sitting at 4-1.
I like how the crown rests right on Jim Carrey's head in that picture. How perfect
that is such a great picture for where that crown is sitting. That's perfect. Right behind Bumblebee Tunas is Purdy Lovely, sitting in second place with a 3-2 record at a 773 score. Right behind them is Wise Guys, also at a 3-2 record with 763. The big thing about this league, just like the other league, is there's a lot of guys tied at 3-2. The difference with this one is that 6 through 2 is tied at 3-2, and they are only one game behind Bumblebee Tunas, sitting at 4-1. So it's going to be a really close league, and those all the way down to sixth place, the lowest score is 731. So you're looking at really close game on this league here. So moving on to our third league in this group, and this is one that I am definitely going to butcher.
Oh, President.
Bahamut. Is that right? Bahamut. I don't know.
Bahamut, yeah, from the Final Fantasy series.
Bahamut. See, that's why I don't know it, because I'm not into Final Fantasy series much, but that's okay. It still sounds cool. Bahamut is El Super Biesto. Our boy is leading this league at 5-0 of the 752 score. Right behind him are two people tied at 4-1. Let's Ride, who obviously was a Broncos fan, is at 770. Mega Flair is our whole boy Alex Hernandez, sitting here at the third place spot, baby, right behind him with a 714, also at 4-1. So and then you have 3 places tied at 3-2 for 4, 5, and 6. Just time to draft. Team Chiefs Life, our boy, and Jack Dunkel. They are all the way from 790 to 683. So you got a pretty decent gap from 1 to 6 in this league. That one's going to be a tough one to make some moves in.
Connor's sitting at 790 with the most points.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, in fourth. Yeah, it's crazy.
And fourth. Well, hey, that's a theme, though. There's a lot of leagues that are like this that the most points for isn't in first. So,
well, if we go back to number 3 here, we have 704 for the number 1. That's the lowest points for out of all these guys.
Yep, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Got that lucky record, man.
Okay, so that was number 4, and then we're gonna go ahead and move over to Connor, and he's gonna go through leagues 5 through 8.
Now you get to have fun with those dragon names.
I have some easy ones. I have Charizard here from I'm guessing Pokemon.
It is Pokemon.
We got.
What do you mean you're guessing Pokemon? Don't act like you don't know that's from Pokemon.
You never know. Alex pulls these out of his hat. You never know where they come from. So,
Well, what a guess. Great guess.
How these odds?
Exactly. We got this one's pretty top heavy. You got 3 5-0 teams. You got Team Luke, MCA, and then you got Red Kingdom and Brady D, all sitting at 5-0. And then you got some 3-2 teams here. You got TB, Cup Half Full, Joker Man, and then you got Jimbo's Bimbos down here at 2-3, with only 660 points. So, like I said, pretty top heavy. 3 5-0 teams is pretty crazy to see through 5 weeks. I'm not sure we'll see that again. That's very interesting. I bet they play each other this week, though. So we'll probably see 1 6-0 team, maybe 2 6-0 teams here. Then we'll move on to Toothless. We got Team Ethan Blinka sitting here at 4-0.
My favorite dragon, by the way, guys. I love little Favorite Dragon movies. The child can't stop watching them.
Yeah, that pretty cool dragon. These are the ones, I believe we're getting into the ones that we just added this off season. Is that right, Alex? All these from 5 to 16 we added this off season.
Yeah, actually, we had just 4 leagues last year, and the demand just kept growing and growing, and we eventually had to we were going to expand to more, but we stopped at 16 just to make sure that we were able to, be concise and accurate with everything we do for these leagues.
Alex
Nice.
is a president of the people. Give them what they
But
want.
if there is a demand in 2025, rest assured that we will supply.
We will be expanding. Yes.
Yes. Awesome. Yeah. I just want to talk a little bit about that. Like all these have been drafted this offseason. So we got some different strategies here, maybe than you saw in the first 4 leads. But you got Team Ethan Blinka here sitting at 4-1 with 788 points for Team Hubs. Nobody decided to make team names in this one. I don't know why. Everybody just has their username after this. And then it's me. I also didn't make a username. And then you got
I think
3
we should have a league called Username. I like that.
Right. Yeah, right. And you got El Super Biesto, who made his username El Super Biesto. Interesting. At 3-2 also. Daniel D. Payne, 3-2. Jay Morris, 3-2 as well. Both of those guys have lost 2 in a row. They're sitting at 3-0 at one point. And then like Ethan Blink has the most points for. I'm in second, and then Hubs is in third. All pretty close together. No real leader between those 3. We'll move on to Deathwing, 7 out of 16. Got Team Orange, another league that nobody. Oh, we do have one username in here. Team Love John Kroll's East 2 down there in 6th place, but got 2 teams tied with 4-1. Team Warren Beck and Chief's Life. Chief's Life is up here with only 688 points for. And that's the lowest on the board.
Wow.
And then Team White Knight sitting here at 3-2 with 752. C Sims with 748, 3-2 with Nelly 721, and then 2-3 got Love John Kroll's East 2 with 748. He's actually 3rd or 4th here in points for, but only 3-2, which kind of is unfortunate for him. But he's still in the playoffs, so good luck to him the rest of the season. And then we'll go to Team 8. This is the one I will butcher. Skitterix.
Skitterix.
It's Skitterix. Yeah,
Skitterix.
Magic
There we
together.
go.
I believe.
And then we see 4 teams with 4-1 records. Captain Bubbles with an impressive score of 793. Ethan Blinka again. We just saw him a couple minutes ago with 768. Zubicus, my Alave hurts. Nice one, Zubs. You got 742, and then a guy that didn't know what to name his team right off the bat, to be determined, with 4-1 with only 686 points. C Sims up here again, 727, and then Jerry B 83 with only 634, but sitting at 3-2 also.
So take note of C Sims. You're going to see that name a lot here coming up.
Nice.
Oh boy.
I like
he's
how
a
you
regular
had
for the
you
years.
had 3 easy dragons and one that was somewhat difficult, and you just destroyed it. It was
Wow.
horrible.
That wasn't that bad. Come on now.
Okay, Sarah, you're up. You ready for this?
Yeah, let's go. All right, so I'm looking at Haku, if I'm saying that correctly. Only 5-0 here with a very high 828 points. That's a
Wow.
high one.
Wow.
Clear lead here. Team P Grote 31. And then we've got one person with 4-1, Hubs TPA, who we also saw earlier a couple times with 726. Not bad. All these scores are kind of like close together, other than 828 and 640 are like the furthest apart. In third place, and let's see, we've got third and fourth that are 3-2. Team Brisson Lock and Team Balls Deep. That's nice. Glad I got to say that one. So yeah. And then 2 and 3 is actually in fifth and sixth here. So Team Diradonis and Cobra Kyler. That's a cool name. I like that one. But yeah, pretty good, pretty steady there. And we've got the next one, which is Lareth. Did I say that right?
Not bad. It's Lareth, yeah, but
Lareth. Should have just gone simple. Oh my goodness, 926. Okay, now that's definitely the highest one we've seen. Look at everybody down here, 600,
Yeah,
700.
that's very impressive, I will
That's
say.
insane. I kind of want to like look up that team.
I don't know if I've seen that in any of my leads that high of a score points for. And this is only start 10 or is it start 11? Regardless, I'm in a couple of start 12s that have nowhere near that. So
yeah, I almost want to go in and see what this team is.
What'd you say, Alex?
His points against just happen to be the lowest on the board right now, too.
It wouldn't even matter, though. I mean, he's 200 points more than we've seen.
Yeah, that's insane.
Pull up his roster.
Team Jaw Flip 37. That's an incredible score. And then we've got one person with 4-1 here with a normal score of 756. Curls East 3, which is also Love John, who we've seen a few times. We've got 1, 2, 3. The last 4 people here, 3-2. Team Thing Dude, JMC 27. Team Freeman C 2447. And then Team White Knight 1988. All over there, kind of pretty close to each other, you know, a little bit of the lower ones in the 600s, but maybe they all have a chance to make it up to third. I don't know who's catching Jaw Flip over here, though. That's insane.
You want to hear his starters?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Yeah, let's go.
All right, here's his starters. He's got Jaden Daniels, Alvin Kamara, Derrick Henry, Jamar Chase, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Mike Evans, George Kittle, and in the flex, he's got James Cook, Darnell Mooney, and Aaron Rodgers at QB2. He's also got Nico on the bench with Khalil Shakir, Tank Dell, and that's about all for his superstars.
So he has RB1, RB2, wide receiver
How long
1.
has this league been around for, Alex?
This is all drafted. All these that we're going through have been drafted this offseason.
Wow.
Yes, correct.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. That's wild. I really like this next one, though. This is a real pretty one. Al Stewing, which previously was Dragon something. First place, good old me. Sarah M21. Don't know why I named it Safe Haven. Just a thing. Not a very high score here, with only 674 up here. This is the league where I also have Jaden Daniels that I was told it was a bad pick for.
Do you have a picture of Justin Herbert holding a bottle of lube?
It's a cologne. It's an aftershave. It's his aftershave ad. Jesus.
It's not Diddy.
It's not Diddy the Diddler, okay? God. Also, the crown is almost directly on Herbie's head. So I'm up there with 4-1, tied. I just jumped over El Super Beasto, and looks like Ken did as well. Dealer's back, which is Ken. I hope everything's going well for you, Ken. Also 4-1, just a little bit under me here in points. El Super Bisto was in first right before he lost this last week with a nice big 822, by far the highest points over here. Team Gallows just dropped recently at his last 2 losses. He was up at top before 730. Oh yeah, by the way, if everybody doesn't notice, this is like the podcast league. Like this is all the people that have either been on the show or it's a part of the managers. And then we have C-Bomb Connor with three wins here in the last 3 weeks. That's a nice come up into 5th place there.
Yep, you got Cam Akers and Dare holding you down.
Look at Akers moving you up. And then another 3 and 2, the last laggers, and that is Mr. Sean himself.
Best team that's been decimated by injury.
yeah, you were up there in like 3rd or something. I think I was like just battling you last week, and then it took a turn for the worse there. So that's Al's doing. And then we've got Tsunami. Hey, I can say that one, no problem. Okay, so Tsunami, I've got 4-1, 4-1, 4-1. The top 3 are 4-1. Batmax, 773, just above Team Cross 24, Cross 24 with 749. Got a chance. Team, God, why do I get these guys? Team Bender over 07 with 666. And then we've got down to the 3 and 2s here. Team Themis Popov. We saw him earlier somewhere in the top 5, 729. We've got Team 716. Mafia Fury. Yep, that's your Bills guy with 663. And down here at 2 and 3 and 6 is X Stoney with 685. So I mean, it looks like honestly all these numbers could probably catch up to each other. Even the 666 has a chance to still come up and make something happen with that.
Just a little side note, I was saying Jaden Daniels was player 3 on Keep Cut Trade. Today he hit player 1 on Keep Cut Trade. So he's now, according to Keep Cut Trade, he's now the number 1 dynasty asset.
Yep. Wow. And I actually, in some rookie drafts, I took him first instead of Caleb.
Yeah, that's ballsy. That's
spicy.
It's only a few. I was like, I'll risk it in a few, but I didn't have a lot of, first round picks or,
wasn't there a trade that we talked about earlier that I made where I got like the 103, which got me Jaden Daniels for like Christian Watson in a first rounder or something like that at 2025 first. Yeah.
That looks so much prettier now.
I know, right? You look at that now and it's like, oh my gosh.
Didn't you have a Elite Neighbors trade that backfired on you too or something like that?
Well, it wasn't backfired until Nico pulled a hammy. Everything was going fine. Nico was right up there with Neighbors still in.
Yeah, for real.
And I mean, Cooper was just going to be a bonus when he finally gets off his butt.
All right, we'll go over here to me. You guys, these dragons are, I don't know, they're personal favorites, I guess. They're all just from literature and video games and stuff like that.
Now we get to hear exactly how each dragon's name is correctly pronounced.
Hopefully. I mean, I could be wrong too, but I'm pretty sure this is Ghidorah. This is from Godzilla. You guys know Ghidorah. He's one of the bad guys, right?
Oh, yeah. The 3-headed bad boy.
So we start off with Clisrawl. He's sitting there at 5-0. I actually just lost to him by 1.7 points, and I had Kamara last night. So that was a heartbreak that could be me up there. So.
Yeah, especially looking at your points for. Jeez Louise.
Yeah, so I just happen to have Kamara in this league, and he's been overperforming.
If he could just get you 2 more yards, man.
Well, we saw a pass hit him on the back shoulder, and he dropped, and I was like, I think that was like a 7-yard pass. So if he would have just caught that one, that would have been a tie at least, which I did do in one of these leagues. I tied this week, so that was interesting. So yeah, we got myself hyped for kickoff. We've got the Jerry hat tricks, like geriatrics, Waka Stab. Chiefs Life just keeps on appearing. Sean, hello, Sean. Cambrian.
Also without a team name.
Yeah, also without a team name. Not too much out of the ordinary here. We just have it is a little top heavy. Jerry Hatricks, he stepped into the top echelon here, but we had Chief, myself, and Clisraw were all 4-0 going into the week and stuff. So this is how it panned out.
It's crazy that we have two teams that have a losing record in the playoffs currently.
Yeah. Good point. And then Tiamat, this is just folklore. He's everywhere. Trailer Park Boys. I haven't even seen that from Shawnee Mac. So okay. Run CMC. That's Todd Barber TV. They're sitting at 4-1 on top here.
He does need CMC to run.
Yeah, I was going to say he hasn't done much of that.
Yes.
He should change his name to Limp CMC.
He just ran straight into bed, man. He's done.
So Love John, apparently he has a bunch of Crow Aces. This is number 4. Team GLC 76 and Braden Fitzgerald. Not Gerald, don't get confused. Fitzgerald. Team J Morris, these guys are all sitting at 3-2, so you have 2 4-1 teams leading the pack. And not too remarkable here, just outscoring the competition.
Are you going to give yourself the easy dragon names, man? Come on.
This is Shadao.
Did you just substitute teacher that? Shay BOW, where you at? BOW, where you at?
Another 5-0 team. Braden Fitzgerald again. Pretty decent score, but his points against are only 561. Only 531 points against for DM Northern Wizard, sitting at 4-1. Team Gyro 5-5, and Chiefs Life again, always there. Bennett RBS and Bagney all sitting at 3-2. And we'll go to our last dragon here. Blue Eyes. Anybody know where Blue Eyes
man? Really?
You guys know where he's from?
Yu-Gi-Oh. Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yu-Gi-Oh, exactly. This one was by request.
You know that, but you don't know Charizard.
He knew.
Nobody's undefeated here. We have Artful Dodger, Al Goody sitting at 4-1. Probably there because of the points against, sitting in the 600s. I mean, 616 for number 2 right here. That's pretty low. His points for is actually kind of low too at 717. Richardson, Saint Head. Okay, 54.
Hey, at least you didn't have to read that one, Sarah.
And paid 50 Dynasty. Okay, Batmax. It's actually a $25 league, and you paid 50 to start up. But okay, don't get confused. So 2 4-1s and 4 3-2s, and pretty straightforward here. You know, nobody's outscoring anybody by too much, and that does it for our dynasty leagues. When these
Thank you everybody for playing in those leagues with us. We really have a great time with you guys.
Totally.
Sure, 100%.
And the people in the dynasty leagues are kind of, because the demand is so high, we reach out to certain people. We have like a waiting list, and then we kind of go through them and be like, well, you know, this guy is, you know, he's been around and he conducts himself well. He kind of fits the mold of what we want for a long-term player. We only had 4 leagues to start the season, but we only had 3 orphan teams out of all 4 leagues. So if you guys play Dynasty, you know how much turnaround there can be and how, you know, so many people vacating can destroy a league. And that's what we try to avoid by handpicking people that are going to gel well together and kind of, you know, keep an eye out for the code of conduct and stuff like that. So it's important to us that we get the right people there. And
if you're not in a Dynasty, I would recommend it. It's my favorite way to play fantasy football, is to have teams that you carry on. You have an emotional attachment to every year. So
you end up making friends too. It's really cool.
Yeah. Plus, you can sell the farm to get your favorite player like Josh Allen and make sure that you have him in like 20 of your 30 leagues. You know,
don't talk to Ken.
If you're doing like Connor in Bahama, this is the second year for this league, and the first year he tanked. Well, so if you're in these leagues, we eliminated the tanking rule. It's now max points 4 for draft orders 1 through 6. So you can still kind of tank, but you have to sell off your players to do so. Last year it wasn't like that. We had Connor and I think it was Daniel, right? They had like the low ball game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me and Daniel, we had, I think it was like 8 points to 10 total points in one of the weeks. It was crazy.
And they still followed guidelines because it was players projected to play and score points, and they still did, but there wasn't a lot of scoring there.
Yep.
But now you got a super team, man, and it looks great. You played it right.
Yeah, like me and Gary were actually talking about it earlier, and this is one of my favorite teams I've built. I mean, it's turned out really nice. I actually had, like you were saying, tanking. I actually had 4 of the 5 first picks in our rookie draft, and I was able to get Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, Malik Neighbors, Roma Dunze, and then I had a couple later ones. I had JJ McCarthy I was able to sell. And so, like I said, getting in a dynasty is so much fun. You're able to, get these rookies as soon as they come out just on your team. You don't have to redraft them or anything like that. So, and then you can sell them for other pieces.
So, because we're kind of pushing the envelope on time here, we're going to kind of browse through these next ones real quick. We'll probably just say the names and the scoring leaders for each division. Sean, I don't know if you want to go first for the mini leagues, the Mario division, or the
Sure. Yeah, absolutely, definitely. So we're looking at the mini league division right now, and we've got in 101 Mario division, we've got Chiefs Life right now sitting at the top spot. He's got 858 points right now. Is that correct? If I'm reading this right, Alex? And if I am not, then you tell me. But Luigi, 102, we've got Luigi. I always say it that way. I don't know why. I can't help myself. And then in the top spot there, you got Ralphie 58 sitting with 862. And the 103, you got Samus. It's Sims 52 sitting with 855 points right now, guys. That is awesome. Going through the next ones, you want me to run through all of these guys here? Or you want me to stick with top 3, Alex?
You could probably just go through like the people's names, just give them a shout out real quick, and then highlight number 108, Nameless King, with the high score.
Absolutely, yeah. We've got in the 104 Mega Man division, you got K Doggy Dog. You got 105 Bowser. You got T Price 269. The 106 Link, you got Freeman C 2447. 107 DK Red Kingdom 10. 108 is Yoshi, which is the Nameless King team. They are the top team overall score. Are you guys ready for this? 930 points. That's right. You guys heard it here first.
Wow.
930 points. That is
in the 900s.
Right?
Crazy.
The man almost broke 4 digits in 5 weeks. Like, that's just unbelievable. So 109 Mario, you got JM Hubs, and then 110 Waluigi, you got C Sims 52.
I love it. Connor, you ready for the PlayStation division?
Yep, I got you. If it loads. Okay. So we got in the league 201 Crash, we got C Sims again, C Sims 52. 202, you got Spyro, Royal Wii. He's also the leader in 203, Laura. Is this Dante? Is that how you say it?
Yeah, Dante from Devil May Cry.
Dante, you got Freeman C 2447. He's the division point leader and the game point leader. He has a whopping score of 669, which is one of the highest ones we've seen.
969.
Yes.
969, sorry. Yes. And then in 205 Sweet Tooth, you got C Sims again. Snake 206, you got Hope Rope All Stars. 207, you got Freeman C 2447 again. 208 King, you got Drew Bless 13. 209 Cloud, you got Mash Robots. And 210 Ghost, you got Chiefs Life 13.
Yes, sir. And these are start 11, but they are 12-team leagues, and so nobody's broken the 1,000 mark yet in these. But when we get to the 10-man leagues, you'll see the 1,000 mark has been broken multiple times. Sarah?
All right. We've got Division 300, the Xbox leagues. I'm already looking at two of our podcasters here. We got 301 and Master Chief. We've got JM Hubs. Then we've got 302 Phoenix. We've got Cajun Dogs. 303 Alloy. Nameless King. Seen him a few times here. 304 Ezio. We've got GLC 76, which I believe is also one of our managers, right? Or no, he's just in a lot of leagues.
He's in a lot, yeah.
Yeah, he's just in a ton.
One of our
Doom Guy. Yeah. And leaders are 305 Doom Guy. Our best co-host, when he could buy himself, Sean S. Clem. 306 Steve. We've got Mashed Robots. Seen him in a few. 307 Geralt. We've got, thank you, Syntropic. And then 308 Marvin, El Presidente, Westlex, Alex here with the high score. 309 Dragonborn. We've got K Doggy. Wait, does that say K Doggy? No.
Yeah,
K Dog. K Dog Connie Dog. And then our division point leader in 310 Wanderer is Sticky Picky with 927.
And Sticky Picky is actually last year's champion. He won
Damn.
the mini leagues last year.
He's good then.
Division 4.
He's only 7 Alex too, by the way. It's just I don't know if y'all caught that or not, but Alex is at 920 and he's at 927, so it's very close.
Oh, that is close.
Yeah, my name's not on a lot, and I'm probably on like most of these leagues and stuff like that, so I'll take it where I get it, to be honest. A lot of Rasheed Rice, guys, a lot of Pacheco. So, Division 400 is PC. This is Pitfall Harry, number 1. We got Steb. In 402, Duke Nukem, we have Royal Wee. Joe Valentine, 403. We got Corn Husking Hog. That's quite a name. Thrall, 404. We have Super B Tourist.
Yeah, it's my homie.
That's Super Biesco's cousin, by the way.
It's not.
He's just visiting. Agent 47, we have our guy Zubikis, division point leader with 935. So that's pretty impressive too. Yes. And then we have C Sims, who keeps on coming up in Pekka. 407 Arthur Morgan, we have 01 up. Okay. 408, we have Cade 6 for anybody that plays Destiny. Murphy, our Murph 86. Diablo, Sticky Picky. Archangel, Cornhusking Dogs. And these little new icons, this is because we had Zubikis is our manager for the mini leagues, and he updates these as often as he can, which kind of translates to almost weekly. So anytime that there's a new person taking over in one of the leagues, we put the icon there so that we can keep track of when the leader changes and stuff.
Who is the point leader in that league one more time?
What's that?
Who's the point leader in that league one more time?
Our Zubikis, our very own Jeffrey.
That's right, baby. Pulling it out. All that hard work is paying off.
So the thing about these mini leagues is that they draft early and they end early. So week 14 is the last week of the regular season, and yes, it's bye weeks, but everybody's had their bye weeks at that point. So after week 14, we know who the league winners are, and then in week 15 we do a big face off for everybody that wants to wager. They can wager their winnings and go up against each other, and there's a pretty decent, like, I think the upside there is like $3,600 or something like that, but it's only a $4 entry, so it's pretty impressive, plus mini games and all that.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in multiple winning positions in a mini game right now, I think that's pretty awesome for you, because we drafted so early. For you to have that kind of foresight is pretty cool.
Yeah, and people always say, like, why do you draft so early? Well, if you're drafting late, I think it's kind of like an equalizer. If you're not paying attention during the offsite season, then you just kind of rely on ADP to give you the guy that you're supposed to draft next, right? But when you draft early, especially like pre-draft or like right after the draft, you got to rely on your own knowledge of how that team is trending. Do they have the draft capital to get somebody to replace, like an Amari Cooper or something like we knew the Giants were probably going to get a receiver, if not a quarterback. So we kind of were on edge with Daniel Jones and kind of hoping. Well, to be honest, we weren't hoping somebody landed there, but we know whoever landed there for the receiving core was going to get a lot of targets and stuff. So there's a lot to take in those early leagues. They're a lot of fun, and they keep us busy.
Yeah,
For sure. That's
And
how
yes,
I found you. That's how I
Chris-
found you last year. And like honestly, like for anyone, I mean, I don't know if anyone's watching this that isn't in any of these leagues, but you know, if there is, maybe I invited some people that aren't like Alex is great at this and he's like super attentive. You know, I have to say, like, you always made me feel like good because you noticed I was joining a lot last year. So you would like message me privately and just shout out to Alex and give him some credit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Alex brought us all together, everybody. So like none of us were like friends or knew each other prior. If it wasn't for Alex doing all this and bringing this group together, we wouldn't be here.
Hey, thanks, man. And then I saw you. I saw JoJo stop by to say hi and stuff when he was in town with you.
Yep.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I got to see JoJo and meet him in person. The first Ballsville member that I've met in person, actually. So that's pretty cool.
Hopefully,
that'll all change before next season, though. We're gonna have a Ballsville bash next season. We're gonna have to make that happen before.
It has to happen in Vegas. We got to come out there and do the pod all live.
Well,
that'd be
on your idea real quick, Sean. Sean wanted all of us to come out there and kind of do like a Ballsville manager like group bet on one of these casinos, right?
Hell
Yeah, I still want us to do that. That's something we can do anytime, man. We can put it all on black, 50-50, baby.
Sean, you need to call the number.
Right? No, dude, you don't do numbers, man. You just do colors, baby. 50.
No, you need to call the gambling hotline.
Oh, that's when the fun stops.
That's the problem, is that he keeps on winning, dude. He sends me pictures of these huge jackpots he's winning, and I'm like, see, that's the problem, is that you're not losing enough for it to be your problem.
Oh no, I've lost enough for it to be a problem.
He just only shows you the winning ones. You try to catch up.
That's
Okay,
great.
so
I want to say to Chris real quick, because he's mentioning in here that SCLEM equals Sean. What SCLEM is, so it's not just me being lazy and having the first four letters of my last name in my initial. It's actually a nickname that I've had for years initially, and I have friends that try to phlegm it up and go schlem and all that. There's no H, it's SCLEM, and that's how it's pronounced. So I appreciate you asking, Chris, because I really did like to clarify that.
It's not just SCLEM.
No, it's not just SCLEM, it's actually SCLEM. It was a nickname from sheet metal when I was like a teenager, and it's never gone away.
I thought it was just SCLEM.
I thought so too. I was like, oh, SCLEM, that makes sense.
If I could have chosen my nickname, I wouldn't have chosen that one. But you don't really get that option most of the time.
Yeah.
So game 2 is pre-draft, and then the NFL draft occurs. And as soon as the NFL draft is over, we do our rookie drafts for our dynasty leagues, and then right after that, we kick off the big game. And the big game is our Pride and Joy. This is the 4-year game. This year we had 96 leagues, and it's 8 leagues per division. So it's 12 divisions of 8 leagues apiece. And the way this works, in week 15, we get our league winners, and then the managers will pop up and they'll come and show you. Well, you can come and see your scores and stuff compared to other people in your division. But then you get to decide if you want to wager or not. You win $50 in your league. It's going to translate to 2 tokens. Like we see here, each token is worth $25, so that you get the option of putting both tokens into the wagering pot to wager against other players. Or you can keep one and wager with one, or you can keep both and exit the game. If you don't reply to your managers, you're going to keep your money and exit the game by default. But what usually happens is we get people that tiptoe in with half. Sometimes we get people with big balls that want to just throw their money in, and that's why we call it Ballsville, because you have to have big balls to win here. Little inside secret. But so when the time comes, we'll come get you. We try to get you educated by then, but if we're not getting like a reply from you, then we'll come and ask you as soon as the weekends if you want to wager or keep your money. And then you get to come check out this sheet, and you can see, the leading scorers the division leader, how everyone's doing compared to you. And look at this name, C Sims keeps on popping up everywhere.
Division 3 is crazy. Check out Division 3.
Okay, so we'll fast forward ahead.
Six of them.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, good for him.
Right?
I like to know.
Y'all
like
could be doing that.
Well, the crazy thing is he probably drafted those all at the same time as well, and so he was just hitting the same players. And
Yeah, getting all the same players, totally.
Yeah, like that's a strategy too. Like I personally like to try to spread things out a little bit when I'm drafting, but he's obviously he was convinced that he had the right players, and he obviously stacked a lot of his teams with the same guys, and it's paying off.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll save the trouble of going through these one by one meticulously, and we'll try to save some time here. But you guys do yourselves a favor, go to the website and come scroll down if you're in part of this game. Come and see who your division leader and how your team stacks up against other league winners. It's still week 5. We're a third of the way through our season here. So what's happened in the first 5 weeks can happen again in opposite directions for the next 5 weeks and the 5 weeks after that. So nobody's really out. When we come back in week 10 and we start going through these numbers, usually what we do is we'll come over here and we'll create a box where we can give you like a plus minus to show you how much of a lead that person has over the second place player, if it's noteworthy. And then you see occasions where we have highlighted leagues. So these are bonus leagues. If you're in one of them, you might not know it. You can come check it out and see if you're in one. If we go to Division 8, which is our All-Stars, this was single entries to start, and then we allowed people to have multiple entries. But the first 5 leagues were all bonus leagues, and all that means is that you get a $10 bonus if you win. So if you win here, like Connor's right here, he's going to get $60 instead of the $50. Instantly bank 10 and then gamble if he wants with the other 50. So
nice. I'm winning the 2 of those. I didn't even know that.
Oh, actually, you're one of the winningest people in this contest, other than C Sims. Zubikis's name appears a lot, which we love to see. Look at there's Sarah again.
Hey,
Sarah, did you know you were winning there?
I did, only from looking at what you created here on the website. I was like, oh yay, I'm winning in one of them because I've joined a few.
Yeah, if you're like me, you archive all your leads that you're in because you're in so many of them, and so you don't want to bust 100%. Up the ones that you have to set lineups for. So this is a very helpful tool
100%
to go look at, because you don't have to scroll through 1,000 leads and I'm in last place.
Yeah. And which league was that? What was that league called? Yeah, exactly.
So again, just another wonderful, useful tool at theballsvillegame.com, ladies and gentlemen.
So there's 12 divisions. Here's a little pro tip that I had to find out. Instead of trying to get down here and push this button, you can just hover over it and it will scroll for you because it is so small.
I love it.
So that's the big game. Here's our game leader sitting at 1,033 points. That's JM Hubs. He's one of our regulars here. Happy to see it. Look, there's Connor again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you can go visit and see how many leagues you won. I'm sure you're in numerous leagues. And then going down the list, we have the low stakes. And so what the managers do, okay, here's a little inside thing. I woke up this morning and I had time off, and I spent 5 hours doing all this today just so that I could do it. I got breakfast done in the middle, but it was pretty tedious. But week 10 and on, the manager
convinced that you have a twin. By the way, Alex, I've convinced myself of this because I don't see how one man can get as much done in a day. So I think you have a twin, and you're just not telling us.
It's a lot of pre-planning, is what it is, in notes. So you can come here, you can check out the leaders in all the redraft leagues. We're not going to go through them all, but come see if you're part of it. Compare your team to other teams. Low stakes. We have the mid stakes and the high stakes. And Scott does this, and he makes charts and tools for you guys. Don't let them go to waste. He puts in the work. We all put in the work to kind of facilitate all of this. And yeah, it's all here for you guys to come and and check it out.
And that's the key. It is here for you guys. That is very important for you guys to understand. Everything that we're doing on here, we're doing because we want to provide you with content that will be useful for your fantasy season. So if there's anything that you want us to add, anything that you think we could put on this website to make it better for you guys, that can give you more information, that can help, throw us a line, shoot us a DM, hit us up on the Discord, anything that you guys think, there's no such thing as a bad idea, man. Just throw anything at us. We'll do what we can to add as much as possible for you.
Well, look at the triathlon game. Look at that thing. When you guys brought that up, it was like so barely conceivable, and now we were at a point where I can't wait till week 9. I can't wait till the guillotine aspects, and I'm probably going to be like,
well, that's because you're going to be able to be alive in the guillotine aspects. You're not one of the bottom 2 who's going to be dropped out like yours truly.
But that's going to be cool. We're going to be cutting 2 teams every week, and we're going to go from a redraft to a guillotine format. So if you join that next year, you get at least 8 weeks of play. So it's not like you pay and then you're out right away and you had to go home. You get to play the game, and then it starts getting intense. And then once it gets to the point where it could possibly interfere with your playoffs, it's going to go into a best ball format, and you don't have to worry about your lineups. It's going to take over, and you're going to have this best ball format playoff game, and hence the name triathlon, right? So,
it's going to be a blast, man.
That was just a little idea, and we made it work, So things like that, you guys don't be afraid to speak up.
Absolutely. And with that, I think that that was a pretty good episode there. I think we got through a lot of great content. Everybody in Florida, I hope you guys are going to be safe tonight, and, stay boarded up, stay indoors. Don't do anything dumb. If you have to leave. I hope you're already gone. So
we did have one question, start state question, that I didn't know if you wanted to get to from Roll the Film.
We got a couple minutes here. Let's try to knock it out real quick. What do we got?
I think it's Love or Stroud this next week. I can't pull it up. I'm not on the thing.
That it was the question.
Yep,
yeah,
there it is. Love or Stroud for this week. Oh man, that's a tough one here. What do you guys think? You got an opinion yet while I think about this?
I think I'd probably lean Love because he's playing the Cardinals, and I think their offense has been putting up some points over there besides them running the ball. But I lean Love. I think he passes a little bit more against that Cardinals defense.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm right with you on that one too. I also do kind of like what Sarah brought up earlier with the way that momentum can work. Coming off of a high win like they had against the Niners in the division and all of that. I mean, they could come out and be a little bit flat to start this game. So
and I expect to
be surprised anyway.
I expect the Texans to blow out the Patriots, although I do hope Drake May, apparently he's going to be starting. I hope he performs quite well. So it could not be, I mean, it might be a little bit better than I'm thinking, but
that's like one of those good problems to have almost,
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you're debating between Love and Stroud, I think it's a win-win.
Yeah.
Can't really go wrong.
Yeah, right. Unless you're like me and you put in Jaden Daniels and then toss you the victory because Stroud's on your bench with 41 points.
Well, do you guys care who's on the field for Love? I mean, is Dobbs going to be there? Is it going to be Wicks again?
I think it's Dobbs.
Good.
I mean, Dobbs was suspended only one game. I think he's fine. He wasn't, hurt or anything.
I think it's got more to do with like him being upset about maybe his role on the offense and like kind of being in that boat than it was about anything physical.
Well, he showed up to end the year last year. I mean, the guy, he seemed like he deserved a role, and he was just buried. Like, I was a Christian Watson lover and apologist, but I think it's time to move off and revamp what that receiving core is. And who's to say Dobbs isn't a buy low candidate right now?
Yeah. And I mean, and Kraft is getting, plenty of looks, obviously, too. So,
yeah,
definitely. Awesome, man. So thank you guys for being here. We really appreciate you guys. And, hopefully on Friday, we'll have Scott back. If not, I'll be here to step in once again for him. It's all going to depend on how things go. So, we'll see how it plays out and we'll go from there. But so for everybody here, for Sarah, for Alex, El Presidente, for Connor, I had to say thank you so much for being here, and we will see you guys soon.
Peace.